Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Chelsey Hauge and I'm so glad to be here with you today. Today we are talking about reducing conflict and creating positive group dynamics. Now I know many of you are working with groups of kids. Maybe that's a 4-H club, maybe that's a couple of siblings, maybe you're in a pod with some other families, but whatever it is, today we're talking about how to manage things when there's fighting or arguing or just kind of bad feeling when you have a group of kids. Now, of course, we all want our groups of kids to really be able to get along, right? To love each other, to appreciate each other, to play well together, so that we can have a harmonious kind of experience and so that kids can learn to appreciate different kinds of children and people. Easier said than done though, isn't it? Most folks who have done any work with kids, whether it's parenting or being a club leader or any other kind of time with groups of kids knows that it can get kind of challenging. And so when it does, there's a couple of things I want you to hold in mind. And the first is that most kids don't yet have the capacity to understand that my parent or my leader or my teacher actually has enough love and space and energy for all the kids. And so for our kids, when one child gets something and then the other starts kind of having some behaviors, it often feels like they got it and so I'm not gonna get it, like it's pie, right? And we know that it's not pie, but I just want you to hold that oftentimes these behaviors come from this place of also wanting the connection, the acknowledgement, the praise, the recognition, and not being sure, like, you know, I mean, of course your kids aren't going to say this to you directly, but not being sure that if that child gets it, am I also going to get it? And so we just want to shift things. And oftentimes when your kids are acting this way, what they're telling you is they actually really do need more. And so I know that you are all very busy humans, and especially with what's going on in the world right now, there is so much stress. And so just know that our kids really feel that too. I think that it's a really hard time for children right now. And when you do my method to really reinforce the group and to create positive group dynamics, it's going to take a little bit more from you in the beginning, but it's going to get easier over time if you stick with this. So the first thing that I want to say to you is I want you to treat your group of kids like a unit. Okay, so if you've got a sibling, like 3 siblings or 2 siblings or 5 siblings, I want you to treat them as a unit. So one of the things that we often do as parents and as teachers, leaders, other youth workers is we'll see like one child doing the right thing and we might say, oh, look, she's doing the right thing. I wish everybody was doing that, right? So we sort of start to position the kids in this way, and I just want to avoid that because I don't want any of our kids to get cast as the one who always does it right or the one who always does it wrong. Another example of that would be like getting kids to get into their pajamas, and you might say the one who gets into their pajamas first wins. So we're going to shift that because what happens then is there's a winner and a loser, right? And I just want us all to win. So little shifts in language, right? So you might still even use the word winning, but instead when we're thinking about the sibling group or the group of children, I'm going to say, oh, sisters win together. Let's see how fast we can get our pajamas on. Right? So then we're sort of all in it together, and what that also does is it opens up a space for the child who is a little bit slower, hasn't done it yet, to get some help from a sibling or from a peer. And it also opens a space for that peer to notice, like, what else can I do for us all to win together? So it's a win-win, right? So treating them as a group. So I really want you to reinforce the unit. So you're going to give a lot of praise to the group. Now, sometimes people will say, so we'll be cleaning up. I got 3 kids. We're cleaning up after we've done some kind of activity. And I've got 1 kid who's doing all the cleaning and 2 kids who aren't, or 2 kids who are doing all the cleaning and 1 kid who's not. And often what happens is just like the pajama example. People will say, oh, look, she's doing it all, or give praise to that one child, but it has this kind of backhanded feeling to it, right? Where it's like, I'm praising this child because you're not doing it, and so what I'm really trying to do is get you to do it. And that has a kind of a zingery, yucky feeling to it for our kids, and it's not actually the way to get them to do the thing. Sometimes we will also go down the threat route. So it might sound something like, if you don't do this, then XYZ, or if you don't do this, then no ice cream. And I want to also just remove all those threats, because we are trying to get our kids to cooperate through connection. And so, you know, I'm actually going to offer praise to the group, even for the smallest step. And I'm going to make sure that that praise is genuine. It's not kind of this backhanded praise, right? That's meant to get a child who's not doing something to do it. I'm just going to offer real genuine praise to the group. So if I have, like in my own family, I got 3 kids. I've got two who are great cleaner-uppers, one who less so. And so if the 3 of us are working and she starts to do something, or anybody's doing something, I'm just going to praise what is actually happening. Like, I see you, all 3 of you, working together on this. This is awesome. I know we're going to get it together really fast. Or, you know, whatever it is. Now, sometimes people will say to me, that's going to have a much higher chance of drawing them in than if you go the other route, which is this kind of backhanded. I see her doing it, but not you. Now, sometimes people say to me, but I just can't get them to play well together. And so here's the method that I want you to try. Know that you have to try this a couple of times. So I just actually want you to practice. So I want you to set up a time, pick a time that everybody's happy. So if you have a child who wakes up really early and is not great in the evening, don't do this in the evening. If you have a group of kids who tend to kind of struggle at the end of their 4-H meeting, do this at the beginning. And I would say to them, okay, so today we're going to practice playing together kindly, or we're going to practice working on this project together. It's just a practice, so definitely phrase it that way, okay? It takes some of the pressure off. So we're going to practice this. And then I'm going to pick an amount of time that I know they can be successful for. And if it's 1 minute, that's okay. 1 minute's fine. It could be 5 minutes. If you're working with older kids, it might be 10 minutes. But just pick an amount of time that you know they can do. And then I want you to set a timer, okay? So I don't know, we're going to practice building this Lego castle for 2 minutes. Okay, and during these 2 minutes, we're going to practice playing together kindly. Playing together kindly means sharing, or playing together kindly means everybody gets a turn, or playing together kindly means trains stay on the tracks. Okay, so you're giving them a positive opposite. Okay, so a positive opposite does not use no, not, or don't. It's positively stated. It feels good, and it lets them know what to do. That's the pro-social. So make sure that you pick your positive opposite. You let them know what it is. You phrase it as a practice, and you give it a short amount of time. Okay, so when they are successful, so they practice building the Lego tower for 2 minutes, they've been taking turns, they've been successful, and you're going to heap on the praise, okay? So remember, for praise to be effective, you can go back and watch some of the earlier videos, but it needs to be frequent, it needs to be immediate, it needs to be sealed with touch, it needs to be genuine, and it needs to be specific. So let them know exactly what they did well, and avoid kind of good job. So let them know, you know, I see you, you know, I see you really working together and taking turns putting Lego bricks onto that castle. Okay, so be highly specific. Now, if it doesn't go well, okay, if it does not go well, you can say to them, shucks, you know, it's too tricky for today. We can try again tomorrow, or we could try again next meeting. The key here is that you have no negative affect about this. You're not mad. No, like, just rolls off you, right? You don't care. You could care less if it works or doesn't. Now, sometimes you'll say, oh, it looks like it's too tricky for today, and remove the object, or remove the game, or move the kids into another space, and they might say, oh, we want to try again. And that's okay. So this is key. When you try again, you are not going to tell them what not to do or highlight what they did poorly. You're just going to give them the positive opposite that you picked out when you started this, okay? So you might say, okay, Working on the Lego, trying again with the Lego castle means we all take turns, or everyone has a turn, or the Lego bricks only go on the castle, like whatever it is. When they affirm that, then you're gonna say, okay, I'm thinking maybe like 1 minute or 2 minutes. Okay, so then you're gonna set the timer again. Okay, if it does not work out, you just repeat, okay, looks like we're gonna try again tomorrow, and then you're gonna move them into another activity. Let's go do this. We're going outside now. Now it's time for X, Y, and Z. Now, if you have really young children, you can repeat this process the same day, or try again in the afternoon, try again in 20 minutes. If your kids are older, it's okay to try again tomorrow. I would give them probably 2 chances, maybe 3, but I think really important here is that you are just like cool as a cucumber. No matter what happens, it's all good. It's okay if it's too hard. It's okay if they've got it. And you're just gonna give the positive opposite. So just really check your language, use a timer, and heap on the praise. Make sure it's immediate. That means within 2 seconds of what's done well. As they start to do it, you can start to increase the time. Now, over time, the goal is that they can play or build or work together for longer periods of time with less adult supervision. But you need to be there highly present, especially in the beginning. And over time, you might come up, it might work for a while, and then they might start to sort of get at it again. And then you just go back and you do it again. Okay, so that is how to reduce conflict and create positive group dynamics with your sibling groups, with your clubs, with other groups of children and young people that you may be working with. Thank you so much.